What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Highland Brewery. We're doing a little bit of a formwork today, and we are looking at forehands. Specifically, commitment to the forehand, commitment to the line, commitment to the shot, and not just kind of lofting it over there. Unless you're trying to throw a lofty shot, don't want any lofty shots today. Today we are going to be all about committing to the line, and even if it's a soft shot, I still want to commit to the line. So let's start throwing. The main thing that I tend to find myself doing on forehands is not extending through the shot and not really following through. My arm still follows through, but I'm not pushing forward with the fingers. I'm not pushing the wrist. I'm not pushing the shot. So a lot of times it just ends up coming out a little nose up, a little fluttery, a little off of the line I wanted on. So how do we focus on that specifically? And I think the best way that I found to do it is to focus on the follow through and treat the follow through as part of the shot. So I'm not just trying to put the disc there, I'm trying to put the disc there and then put my hand over here, right? So make sure you're committing to the follow through. Will help you commit through the shot. I have my go-to Rhino and the Flame Dyed Pyro. So two of my go-to forehand discs. They're going to be slightly different angles of release. So we're going to get to see two different angles of release, two different power levels, but still able to, hopefully still able to do basically the same thing. Hole 1, 216 Rhino. I did commit. This video is not talking about what happens if you overcommit, because that can sometimes happen. This is about fully committing, and if I overcommit, that's actually a good thing for this video. Probably gonna be a little bit softer, but on a hyzer. Great shot. Yep. So I think as long as we're following through, and I've talked about this before, but reaching back and following through on the same plane will do a lot to help keep control over your disc and over your shot. If you start to move around on the plane that you're throwing or reaching back or following through on, that's where the flutter comes in. And still not great at it. Still have a lot of flutter on my forehand sometimes, but I do know when I hit it clean, and I've started to hit it clean more frequently. So we're revisiting the topic. So talking about the plane of the swing or the plane of the shot, what I mean is this: the reach back for the forehand should be right here, because my follow through and my hit point is going to be here. My follow through is going to be there. So everything is in that same plane. You will notice when I go to throw higher power forehands, the plane does break a little bit. I've coached my wrist into hitting the right timing, so even though I can break the plane a little bit, my higher power drives tend to have more flutter because we're breaking that plane. But if we're throwing a little bit softer, a little bit more neutral power, or just normal power levels, keep it in that plane and focus on the follow through and get that spin on the forehand, and you'll get the same distance with less effort. This one is a little bit longer and uphill, 230 feet. I'm gonna go a little bit of a flex, I think, with both of these. A little low, a little bit higher. And this being a rhino and it's uphill, the power level is going to have to increase from the 5-speed of the pyro. So focus on the plane. Try to keep it all in the same plane. I'm gonna do my best, and we'll see what happens. You lasered right at the basket. Oh well. But I think I did pretty well at keeping it in the same plane. So let's go from the plane talk now onto hole 3, talk about the reach back. Furthest distance so far, 245 feet. So especially with the rhino, I'm gonna have to add a good bit of power. The pyro will be kind of a median power level, but it will be a very precise release point. Let's try to go max power first with the rhino, but as we're doing this reach back, I will probably end up breaking the plane on this shot. So instead of coming through here, it's gonna need to be a hyzer shot. So it should be coming through right here, but you'll probably see a little bit of that, right? Maybe not to that extreme, but you'll probably see a little bit of that with the rhino. But I've spent 20 years throwing frisbees, so the wrist control, the angle control is going to come way more naturally to me. So if you can do it without breaking the plane, do it. If you have to break the plane, try to do it as little as possible to keep the smooth release there. Now, good bit less power. Oh, a little early. But that is the, I don't know, maybe I kept the rhino on the plane. Might be a little bit difficult to see. I think I did a pretty decent job, but I probably broke it a little bit. The pyro was basically as flat as I could throw it, and I think I did a pretty good job at keeping it on the flat plane on the reach back. So we're doing pretty good on the reach back so far. Let's try to focus on the follow through, which is the thing that's getting me in trouble right now. So for me, the follow through, like I said, is that explosive hand forward on the same plane, and that gets a little bit extra speed to the disc, but it mostly just imparts the spin that it needs to help it not wobble nearly as bad. So this is our longest hole, 290 feet. It's going to be an absolute mash for the rhino, and even for the pyro, it's going to be a pretty full shot. I can push the pyro further, not without doing something weird, but on this shot, a soft flex for the pyro is going to be perfect. I'm going to try to hit the rhino with distance driver power, distance driver spin, and we'll see what happens. Guess we'll go rhino first. Not as hard as I can throw a forehand. This one, not as much. Off the tree. Yep. So I did follow through, but it was still a little undercommitted. And so that's where it's getting me. So we've definitely backed down off the distance some. This is 217 feet. For the Rhino, this is going to be a much simpler shot. For the Pyro, it's going to be very touchy, that I don't overturn it, that I don't overpower it, but that I don't undercommit it. It has to be fully committed, but a soft throw. It's really touchy. All right, we are gonna go Rhino first now. And focusing here on really extending those fingers through. That was undercommitted. I came through and my wrist was just limp. There was no spin on that disc. That is much better. That was more well committed, and I mean, it is tough for me to throw a Pyro this short on a forehand, because for some reason I can throw a Proton Pyro further on a flex forehand than I can on a flex backhand, and I have no idea why. So that's why I'm like, yeah. When I say Pyro, Proton Pyro and I connect in a way that no other mid-range ever has. It's kind of what I'm talking about. But as far as following through, I think for me, the Rhino, because it's so consistent for me, it's so reliable, and I throw it so often that a lot of times, if it is a tricky shot with a Rhino, I won't make it happen. It'll end up messing up because I'm a little bit too comfortable with it. So I want to be comfortable with the discs in my bag, but I also need to know and keep in mind that this Rhino is basically a Berg at this point. It is so straight. And if I want it to do the flex line, basically I have to throw it flat. If I throw it on hyzer, it's going to stand up. If I throw it on anhyzer, it's just going to hold over. It's never going to come back. So focusing on exact precise release angles and focusing on the spin. Hopefully you guys enjoy content like this. If so, please make sure to like the video. If you want to see new stuff, make sure to comment that down below. Please make sure to subscribe. It helps you guys out with these subscriber-only giveaways. And if you want to be automatically entered into monthly giveaways, check out the memberships as well. Until next time, see you out on the course.